Anna stood near the old railway yard while the morning sun rose slowly behind the hills. The place smelled of dust, oil, and forgotten time. In front of her stood the rusty locomotive. Its metal body was covered with brown stains, and weeds grew around its wheels. The paint had faded long ago, and the windows were cloudy with dirt. To most people, it looked useless and lifeless. To Anna, it looked like a story waiting to be told. People from the town gathered nearby. Some crossed their arms. Some whispered to each other. A few laughed openly. They could not understand why a quiet woman like Anna would spend her money on something so old. The locomotive had not moved in many years. Birds rested on it. Children dared each other to touch it and run away. Everyone believed it would stay there forever. When the seller handed Anna the papers, a man from the crowd laughed and said she must enjoy throwing money away. Another woman shook her head and said the thing belonged in a junkyard. Anna heard every word. She felt the eyes on her. Still, she did not reply. She signed her name calmly and folded the papers with care. Her hands were steady, even though her heart was beating fast. Anna had grown up in this town. She knew how people talked. She knew how quick they were to judge. Her life had always been simple. She worked at the small library near the town square. Every day, she helped children find books and helped elders read letters from faraway family. She did not speak much, but she listened carefully. Books were her closest friends. They taught her patience and hope. As a child, Anna spent many afternoons with her grandfather. He loved trains more than anything. He used to tell her stories about how trains once brought people, dreams, and chances to small towns like theirs. He said trains carried more than goods. They carried change. When he spoke, his eyes shined. Anna never forgot those moments. Even after he was gone, the stories stayed with her. That was why she noticed the locomotive when others ignored it. She passed it every day on her way home. At first, she only looked at it. Then she started stopping beside it. She touched its cold metal. She imagined how it once sounded, how it once moved. In her mind, it was not broken. It was resting. The town had been quiet for many years. Shops closed early. Young people left for bigger cities. There was nothing new to talk about. Anna felt the town needed something that could bring people together again. She did not know exactly how, but she believed the answer stood on those old tracks. The laughter from the crowd slowly faded as people went back to their lives. Anna stayed. She walked around the locomotive, studying every detail. She noticed the strong shape under the rust. She saw space inside. She felt possibility. When the yard became quiet, she smiled softly and whispered that they would do something special together. That same afternoon, Anna returned with a bucket of water, an old cloth, and a small brush. She began cleaning one side of the locomotive. The rust did not disappear, but the dirt did. Her arms hurt, and sweat covered her face. Still, she continued. A boy passing by stopped to watch. He asked why she was cleaning trash. Anna smiled and said it was not trash. It was history. News spread fast in a small town. By the next day, more people came to watch her work. Some laughed again. Some were confused. A few were curious. Anna worked every day after her library shift. She cleaned. She measured. She wrote notes in a small notebook. At night, she read books about old trains, repairs, and creative ideas. She planned quietly while the town slept. Her house was small, but her dreams were not. She sold a few old things to buy tools and paint samples. Every coin mattered. Sometimes doubt visited her late at night. She wondered if the town was right. She wondered if she was wrong. Each time, she remembered her grandfather's voice and the stories of moving rails and open paths. One evening, a storm passed through town. Rain hit the locomotive hard. Anna rushed to the yard with a cover she had bought. As she struggled to protect it, an old man from the town helped her hold the cloth in place. He did not laugh. He did not question her. He only said the locomotive looked strong despite its age. Anna thanked him. That moment gave her quiet courage. Slowly, the laughter changed. People still doubted her, but they watched more closely. The rusty locomotive was no longer ignored. It had become a question. Why was she doing this? What did she see that others did not? Anna did not answer. She kept working. She believed actions spoke louder than words. The locomotive stood silent, but something had already begun. The town did not know it yet, but that rusty machine was about to change everything. The days after the purchase passed slowly, but Anna did not slow down. Every morning, she followed her routine. She opened the library, arranged books, helped visitors, and smiled politely. To most people, she looked the same as always. Quiet, simple, ordinary. But inside her mind, plans were growing stronger each day. After work, she walked straight to the railway yard. The rusty locomotive waited there, silent and heavy. The first week, she focused only on cleaning. She scrubbed the metal carefully. Rust fell like dry leaves to the ground. Her hands became rough, and her clothes smelled of oil and dust. Still, she felt calm. Each cleaned patch felt like progress. Some people stopped to watch. A few asked questions. Most still doubted her. They said the machine was too old. They said it would cost too much. They said she should give up before losing more money. Anna listened, but did not argue. She had learned from books that big ideas often start small and quiet. At night, she studied hard. She borrowed old manuals from nearby towns. She read about train history, design, and repair. She did not rush. She knew she could not fix everything at once. She made lists and drew simple sketches. She marked what could be saved and what needed change. Her notebook slowly filled with ideas. Anna also began to notice the town more closely. She saw how people walked with tired faces. She noticed how children had few places to gather. She watched travelers pass through without stopping. The town felt like a place people left, not a place they stayed. This thought stayed with her as she worked. One afternoon, a woman named Mary came to the yard. Mary owned a small bakery that struggled to survive. She watched Anna clean in silence for a long time. Finally, she asked why Anna cared so much about an old train. Anna answered honestly. She said the town needed warmth and connection. She said the locomotive could offer that. Mary did not laugh. She nodded slowly. Soon, others began stopping by, not to mock, but to ask. A man who once worked with machines offered advice. A young girl asked if the train would move again. Anna told her maybe not far, but it would still have a purpose. The girl smiled and said she wanted to help paint someday. Money was still a problem. Anna counted every coin. She skipped small comforts and cooked simple meals. Sometimes she felt tired and alone. Doubt visited her often. What if she failed? What if the town was right? During those moments, she stepped inside the locomotive and sat quietly. The space felt strong. It reminded her why she started. As weeks passed, the locomotive slowly changed. Clean metal shone under the sun. Broken parts were removed. Windows were cleared. Anna added small wooden supports inside. She imagined people sitting there, talking, laughing, resting. The image gave her energy when her body felt weak. Rainy days were the hardest. The ground turned muddy, and tools slipped from her hands. Still, she showed up. A few townspeople noticed her effort. One day, a man left a thermos of warm tea near the tracks. Another day, someone donated old chairs. No one spoke much, but the support was real. The town gossip also changed. Instead of jokes, people shared guesses. Some thought she was building a shop. Some believed it was an art project. No one knew for sure. The mystery made people curious. Children began visiting after school. Anna let them watch but asked them to be careful. She explained what she was doing in simple words. They listened closely. Anna also worked on permits and safety rules. She visited local offices and filled out papers. It was not easy. Some officials doubted her plan. Others were impressed by her preparation. She stayed polite and patient. She explained that the locomotive would be safe and useful. Slowly, doors opened. One evening, Anna stayed late at the yard. The sun set behind the hills, painting the sky in soft colors. She stood back and looked at her work. The locomotive was still old, but it no longer looked forgotten. It looked respected. For the first time, Anna felt certain. This was working. As she locked her tools, she noticed a group of people watching from a distance. They were not laughing. They were talking quietly among themselves. Anna felt nervous but hopeful. She waved gently and walked home. That night, she dreamed of the locomotive filled with light and voices. People from the town sat together, sharing stories. Travelers stopped and smiled. The train did not need to go far. It only needed to bring people closer. When Anna woke up, she felt ready. The hardest part was not the work or the money. It was believing when no one else did. Now, slowly belief was spreading. The rusty locomotive was no longer just her dream. It was becoming the town's curiosity. And soon, it would become something no one expected. The morning arrived quietly, but something felt different in the air. Anna woke up earlier than usual. She looked out of her window and smiled. This was the day she had planned for weeks. The rusty locomotive was finally ready to show its new face to the town. She walked to the railway yard with steady steps. The sun was soft, and birds moved between the trees. When she reached the tracks, the locomotive stood there proudly. Its body was now painted a calm green color. The metal looked strong and clean. Warm lights glowed through the windows, even in the daylight. Anna took a deep breath. She had done all she could. Inside the locomotive, the space felt alive. Wooden tables stood neatly in place. Small shelves held books and local pictures. Simple chairs waited for visitors. The smell of fresh bread filled the air. Anna had woken up before dawn to prepare everything. She believed small details mattered. She placed a simple sign near the entrance. It read "Welcome everyone." No big words. No promises. Just an open invitation. Then she waited. At first, the yard stayed quiet. Anna felt nervous. She cleaned a table again, even though it was already clean. She adjusted a chair. She checked the lights. Minutes felt long. Doubt knocked softly at her mind. Then a child arrived. It was the same girl who once asked if the train would move again. She looked wide-eyed at the locomotive. She walked inside slowly and smiled. She asked if she could sit. Anna nodded. Soon, another child followed. Then a woman. Then a man. One by one, people stepped inside. The town slowly gathered around the tracks. Faces that once laughed now looked surprised. Some people stood outside, unsure. Others walked in with curiosity. The space filled with quiet talks and gentle laughter. The locomotive was no longer silent. Mary from the bakery arrived carrying a basket of bread. She offered to share it. Anna thanked her. The smell grew stronger. People smiled and began talking to each other. Strangers shared tables. Friends stayed longer than planned. A traveler passing through town noticed the lights and stopped. He said he had never seen anything like it. He sat down and ordered tea. He listened as locals shared stories about the town's past. The locomotive had become a meeting place without trying too hard. Outside, the same man who once laughed the loudest stood watching. He did not speak. His face showed surprise. He stepped closer and read the sign. He looked at Anna through the window. She met his eyes and smiled gently. He nodded back. As the day continued, the yard stayed busy. Children read books. Elders talked about old days. Artists sketched the locomotive. The town felt different. It felt awake. Anna moved quietly among the guests, serving tea and food. She listened more than she spoke. She noticed smiles where there used to be tired faces. She felt her heart grow warm. All the hard work was worth this moment. In the afternoon, Anna did something unexpected. She invited people to step outside. She explained that the locomotive could still move a short distance. She had repaired just enough to make it safe and slow. People looked at each other in surprise. The engine made a gentle sound. Not loud. Not strong. Just enough to show life. The locomotive moved forward slowly along the old tracks. People watched in silence. Some held their breath. Children laughed in joy. The movement was short, but it felt powerful. When the locomotive stopped, people clapped. The sound echoed across the yard. Anna felt tears in her eyes, but she stayed calm. She thanked everyone for coming. She said the place would be open every day. She said it belonged to the town. News spread fast. By evening, visitors from nearby places arrived. They heard about the green locomotive with lights and books. They wanted to see it for themselves. The yard stayed busy until sunset. As night fell, the lights inside the locomotive glowed brighter. Music played softly. The space felt warm and safe. People did not rush to leave. They talked, laughed, and shared food. For the first time in years, the town felt full. Anna stood outside for a moment, watching through the window. She remembered the laughter from the first day. She remembered the doubt. Now, those memories felt far away. The locomotive had done more than change its shape. It had changed hearts. Before closing, Anna thanked everyone again. Many people thanked her back. Some apologized for doubting her. She accepted their words with kindness. She knew belief often comes late. That night, as Anna walked home, the tracks behind her shined under the moonlight. The rusty locomotive was no longer rusty. It was a symbol of hope. And this was only the beginning. After the opening day, nothing felt the same in the town. The green locomotive became the first thing people talked about each morning. At the bakery, customers asked what new books were inside. At the market, people shared stories from the evening before. The railway yard, once empty and silent, now felt alive. Anna opened the locomotive every day after her library work. She kept the place clean and welcoming. She added small touches slowly. A plant near the window. A board where people could write messages. A corner for children to draw. She did not rush. She wanted the space to grow naturally, just like trust. People began to visit for different reasons. Some came to read quietly. Some came to talk after long days. Elders came to share memories of the town when trains still passed through. Children came to feel important and included. Everyone found something there. The town slowly changed its rhythm. Shops stayed open longer. Visitors from nearby places started stopping by. They asked about the locomotive and the woman who brought it back to life. Anna did not like attention, but she understood the story was bigger than her. One afternoon, the town council asked Anna to speak at a small meeting. She felt nervous but agreed. She explained how the locomotive was not just a project, but a place for connection. She spoke simply. She said people needed spaces where they felt welcome. The council listened carefully. For the first time in years, they discussed ideas for the future. Artists began using the locomotive as inspiration. Painters set up near the tracks. Writers held small reading sessions inside. Music played softly in the evenings. None of it felt forced. It felt like something the town had been waiting for. The short train rides also became popular. Anna made sure everything stayed safe and calm. The locomotive moved slowly along the tracks, showing views people had forgotten. Fields, trees, old bridges. People smiled like children during the ride. It reminded them that slowing down could be joyful. One evening, the man who once laughed the loudest came inside alone. He looked around quietly. He ordered tea and sat near the window. When Anna brought his cup, he thanked her. He said he had been wrong. He said the town needed this more than he realized. Anna smiled and told him everyone makes mistakes. Support grew stronger each day. Local workers helped improve the tracks. Shop owners shared supplies. A teacher started bringing students for history lessons. The locomotive became a classroom, a cafe, and a meeting place all at once. Anna still worked hard, but she no longer worked alone. People asked how they could help. She welcomed them but stayed careful. She wanted the place to remain kind and simple. She believed too much change at once could harm what made it special. Late one night, Anna sat alone inside the locomotive after closing. The lights were dim. The air was quiet. She thought about her grandfather. She wished he could see this moment. She felt sure he would smile. The town felt warmer now. People greeted each other more often. They stayed to talk instead of rushing home. Travelers no longer passed through without stopping. The locomotive gave them a reason to stay. Challenges still appeared. Some days were slow. Some repairs took longer than expected. Money was still something Anna watched closely. But she no longer felt fear. She felt support. One weekend, the town held a small celebration near the railway yard. There was music, food, and laughter. Children ran freely. Elders sat together, sharing stories. The locomotive stood at the center, glowing softly as evening arrived. As Anna looked around, she realized something important. The locomotive did not change the town by itself. It reminded people of who they were and what they could be together. That night, stars filled the sky. The tracks shined quietly beneath them. The town had found its heart again, and it beat gently inside a green locomotive that once everyone laughed at. The journey was not over, but the direction was clear. The town was moving forward, slowly and together. Years passed, but the green locomotive never lost its charm. What began as a quiet idea became a living part of the town. People no longer called it the rusty train. They called it the heart engine. It stood on the same tracks, but everything around it had changed. Anna's life changed too, though she remained the same at heart. She still worked at the library, but fewer hours now. More people volunteered there, inspired by what she had done. In the afternoons, she walked to the railway yard, just as she always had. The locomotive welcomed her with soft light and familiar sounds. Visitors came from far places. Some arrived by bus. Some came by car. They asked about the story. They wanted to know how one woman turned an old machine into something so meaningful. Anna always answered simply. She said she only listened when others did not. The town grew busier but not louder. New shops opened, but they respected the calm spirit of the place. Young people returned with ideas and energy. Some opened small businesses. Some taught classes. The town no longer felt forgotten. Children who once drew pictures inside the locomotive were now young adults. They remembered those days clearly. Many said that place taught them the value of patience and care. Teachers used the story in lessons. Parents shared it at home. The locomotive continued to offer short rides. Not for speed, but for reflection. People sat quietly during the ride, watching fields and skies. Some held hands. Some smiled softly. The movement reminded them that progress did not always need to be fast. One autumn morning, Anna stood near the tracks as leaves fell gently. She noticed a group of visitors taking photos. A young woman approached her and said the locomotive inspired her to save an old building in her own town. Anna listened carefully and wished her luck. Moments like that made her realize how far the idea had traveled. The town council later placed a small sign near the yard. It did not praise Anna loudly. It simply shared the story of belief and care. Anna did not ask for it, but she accepted it with grace. She knew stories belonged to everyone once they were shared. As time went on, Anna trained others to care for the locomotive. She believed no place should depend on one person alone. The town agreed. Teams formed. Responsibilities were shared. The heart engine became a shared promise. One evening, a heavy rain fell. The sound echoed on the metal roof. People still came. They sat together, drinking warm tea and talking quietly. The lights reflected on the wet tracks. Anna watched from a corner and felt peace. She thought about the first day. The laughter. The doubt. The lonely work. All of it felt distant now. Not because it was forgotten, but because it had been transformed. Those moments were part of the journey. On a calm night, the town gathered again, just like the first celebration. Music played softly. Stories were shared. A child asked Anna why she never gave up. Anna thought for a moment before answering. She said some things only need one person to believe first. As stars filled the sky, the locomotive stood steady and warm. It no longer needed paint or praise. Its value was clear in the way people treated each other. Long after Anna walked home that night, the lights inside the locomotive still glowed. Laughter drifted through the air. The tracks remained still, but the town kept moving forward. The rusty locomotive that once caused laughter had become a symbol, not of metal or machines, but of vision and care. And its story lived on in every person who chose to see possibility where others saw nothing.